All right, let's go to our last marquee game. Notre Dame at Ohio State. Ohio State 17-point favorite. Over under 59.5. This game's at 7:30 Eastern on ABC. Big, if you look at a casual fan looks at it and says, wow, this is a big number for but Notre Dame, I think, is fifth in the coaches poll. But as we talked about, massive drop off. It's Alabama, Ohio State this year. And then depending on how Georgia fills all of their losses, it could be 2 touchdowns on a neutral between the top 2 teams and the third, or if Georgia's really good, the third and the fourth best team. So there's a wide gap here, and there's some potential issues for Notre Dame at wide receiver. Another wide receiver injury. They're really inexperienced on the outside. That's certainly a question. The tackles last year got some good experience as freshmen, really good tight end. I think the quarterback position, little limited. It's certainly nowhere close to what Ohio State brings to the table on the offensive end. It'll be up to Notre Dame's defense to really keep them in this game somehow, because I think with the addition of Jim Knowles, who got to prepare for this Notre Dame team last year in the bowl, just bringing organization and communication, just the basics to this defense, should improve them significantly off the bat, because the talent is certainly there. And we know about the Ohio State offense. It's going to be hard to stop. So the one thing that I will bring up is Marcus Freeman, the clip of him saying he's now aware of the spread of plus 17.5. And he said he didn't know that. He's going to use that as motivation. So my point is, if Notre Dame's down 24 with 2 minutes to go, Freeman is going for that cover after bringing it up and trying to please his boosters and making a point to bring up that spread. So if you're backing Notre Dame plus 17.5 and you're down 24 late, you might have Freeman on your side. I make this game like 17-1, and I would lean under 59.5, but not enough to play it. I'll be watching this game live to see what the Ohio State defense looks like, what Notre Dame looks like, especially at receiver. I think that's going to really limit them this year. And maybe I'll have a live play, but I think this spread is about right. And curious to get your thoughts.
Yeah, this is a really interesting matchup because these two teams, especially from a coaching staff perspective, they really know each other. Now, Jim Knowles did game plan for Oklahoma State against Notre Dame, but somebody would come back and say, well, Notre Dame in the Fiesta Bowl scored 28 points in the first half against Oklahoma State defense. Well, Jim Knowles wasn't on the field. And I think the thing about guys like Jim Knowles and Brent Venables, they can change and make adjustments, not just drive to drive, but play to play. Jim Knowles was not there to make changes. But if you notice, Oklahoma State came out after halftime and completely shut Notre Dame down. Now, I've heard rumors of Jim Knowles putting in adjustments at halftime because whatever happened, Oklahoma State made a fierce comeback against Notre Dame in that bowl game, which, another thing where I keep having these problems about trying to back Marcus Freeman is I'm not sure he's good at in-game adjustments, halftime adjustments. Jim Knowles is such a monster addition to this Ohio State team, not just to clean up the tackling, but to clean up the fact that Ohio State keeps trying to run a 4-2-5 and they can never identify who's going to play that nickelback. Knowles is one of the best, fundamental teachers from a tackling perspective. He's going to be able to make changes here. I would be really nervous if I was backing Notre Dame with what they have and the youth that they have on that offensive line. And when you have edge rushers on Ohio State, like Zach Harrison coming at Tyler Buckner, that's going to be a problem. And I don't know how Notre Dame stays in this game when their only real weapon is Michael Mayer at tight end. There's only so far you can go with explosive plays on a tight end over the middle. So, this Ohio State team completely loaded on offense. The Irish defense they return almost everything, and they're actually really good at defending. They had top 10 ranks in almost all the advanced analytics in the 5 factors. So I do believe that Ryan Day is going to have about 2 or 3 series where he's going to try to establish the run. Go look at his presser. And I know, Stucky, you hate me doing coach speak. Monday's Ryan Day presser. We have to establish the run. We have to establish the run. Everything we want to do as Ohio State Buckeyes with this offense is based upon establishing the run. Williams, Henderson, they're going to get a lot of carries to start off. Now, is Notre Dame going to be able to stop that? They're not bad as a run defense unit. And I'm guessing that Freeman's going to have him scheme, but at some point, there's going to be 3rd and long, and CJ Stroud's going to take off, and Notre Dame just does not have the ability to stop that. But it's going to be slow going in the beginning. It's going to be a grind. And once Knowles figures out what Notre Dame's going to do offensively, shut it down. I'm not sure how Notre Dame scores any points. So I think other thing we need to look at, and my bet for this game, by the way, I'm happy enough to grab 14.5, put it into the Action app. It's a reason you want to follow Stuckey and I. We're getting these numbers. We're going to get these numbers on Labor Day while everybody is having a cookout with their family. We'll be smacking lines that are getting opened up to these odds makers at these books. And that way, by the time we podcast, everybody's got a good number. I'm going to stick with the 14.5 on Ohio State. I'm not going to hedge it at all. But if you're just listening to this now and you don't have any money on this game, I'm going under 31 in the first half, with Ryan Day making it completely visible that he wants to run the ball as much as possible. That's going to keep his big explosive weapons from the wide receivers off the field. Now, why do I think that it's going to go under first half? At some point, they're going to light it up. I think the last stat that I'll leave you with, because I think a full game under is actually in play too. And you might get Notre Dame, not getting into double digits and Ohio State scoring all the points. But I think the one key stat from this game is Jackson Smith-Njigba. He was the 2nd highest graded wide receiver against man-to-man coverage in all of college football last year. What does Marcus Freeman run every stop he's been at every single year? Man-to-man coverage. Smith-Njigba and the Ohio State offense is going to tear the secondary apart when they decide to stop running the ball. So look for Knowles to make those changes, shut down the Notre Dame offense early. Might be a little success for the Irish early until, Knowles figures out what's going on, and expect Ryan Day to run the ball relentlessly until it gets stopped. First half under for me.